I won't forget. Now it says something, it's in progress, so maybe now it's working.
It says recording for me.
Yeah.
It says recording for me. So let's hope the tech works this time.
All right, Konrad. So why don't we start with the first question? You read it out, and then you go.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. So why did I choose to work in marketing? I would say I kind of fell into it. It fit my personality overall. You know, I'm a very creative person, and marketing demands someone that's able to see the big picture, work with the other frontline functions, and help to develop ways to engage with the market. So it was very natural for me to work in marketing because I could tap into my creative side. You know, it's not work for me to use my creativity skills, and it's also very rewarding when you can do that day to day, and then also see the fruit of your actions in the end. Overall, you know, a new customer comes in. So on top of that, you know, being very analytical, and there's two sides to that. Is I like to think I try to understand people the best way possible. So what are the motives that move them? How do they think? How do I engage with them to sway them in the direction of my company's offering? So that's also very, very interesting to me. And of course, as a marketer, you need to understand personas. You need to build messaging on top of that, and then campaigns on top of that. On the other side of the analytical aspect is like the data, especially when data meets technology. So using that, especially today when so much is in marketing world going digital, is very, very important in order to engage with the market further as we're less and less offline.
Brilliant.
The last thing I'll
yeah, go.
Yeah,
very good.
The last thing I'll add to that is, you know, over the years, I've learned marketing is the most essential function of the business. So if the purpose of the business is to make money, the only way we can make money is to create a customer. And that's marketing's job, is to, whatever offering we have, is to craft that in a way that it creates a customer so they come and buy our technology, our product, and we build that group. So marketing is at the heart of the organization and builds the company and develops the market. And it's just very rewarding to be a part of, you know, the most essential function of the business.
Man, that was a fire answer. Cool. Let's do the next one.
Let's do the next one. Thank you.
What's the best piece of advice about marketing?
John, just don't forget, like mute yourself when you're not talking so it doesn't switch screen.
So what's the best piece of advice about marketing I've ever received? I don't know if I don't have advice necessarily, but I have a learning, I guess, in a way of advice, and that's to not forget the emotional aspect within your marketing. I find so often that messaging is so focused on like the product features and other like selfish needs of the company, and they forget that we're dealing with people and humans, and we're thinking in personas and buying centers, but it's still the B2B buyer is the same person in the B2C world. So we have to remember to incorporate their considerations, to really engage them and not just try to sell to them. So that would be my best advice.
I heard that before and it makes so much sense. It's like, yeah,
I agree with myself, like, you know, playing an emotion, selling an emotion, you know, essentially like creating content around emotion is a killer for sure. I think that's one of, like, you know, whole big part of Gong's whole like content strategy is around emotions.
Yeah. And I could there's one cool tool, it's called a headline analyzer. It's there's one from the,
I know, I have it myself.
Yeah, the American Advanced Institute, and it's a great way to get started, and then integrate that within your skill set.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing, Konrad. let's do the next one.
So what's the craftiest way I've ever been prospected? I know it's old news, but I still remember to this day, like 5 years ago, someone sent me a vidyard. It was one of those gifts in the email, and they're holding up a piece of paper with my name on it. So it really grabbed my attention, and they're waving to me. And I was like, that was one of the coolest ways that someone sent me a cold email. You know, I clicked it, I watched it, I sent it to everyone in my sales and marketing function. We all watched it. So if the purpose was to watch it and get my attention, I mean, they more than succeeded. They got, you know, all of my colleagues' attention, and I did reply in the end. But more recently, I had one engagement which I thought was, I don't know if it was intended, but she understood I wasn't in the buying cycle, and I wasn't anywhere near a buying cycle. My budget was firm for that quarter. It was going to come open up in a later point, but she just kept in touch, you know, month by month, inviting me to events that normally would cost me, you know, a couple $100 to $1,000, where I can go and tune in, talk to other marketers, listen to other industry speakers, other vendors. And of course, her company was there as a sponsor, but she was never ever trying to sell to me. It was always trying to just develop a relationship and incorporate me in her community as well as the marketing community.
Oh man, that's just a really good one as well. Like nurturing and so forth, like meaningful nurturing, right? Like value, like true value that you can use. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. And the next one, I'm really interested.
Yeah, me too. This is my favorite one. So what are the 3 tips I would give other marketers to try to break down their silos between marketing and sales? I would say that the first one would be to speak to your salespeople every day, and not just in not just formally, like in pre-scheduled meetings, but more informally. So if you have a break in your day from calling or other meetings, just, you know, see who's available, give them the ring or stop by their office and just have a chat, understand, you know, how their day's going, what they've learned. It doesn't always have to be about business either. It could be personally, and just creating that relationship, becoming a friend, so that they, you know, like you as a person, and then they can like you as your marketing or sales support. So that would be number one. The second one would be over communication, and not just saying, you know, what is marketing doing in terms of activity or planning once in your weekly update calls, but over communicating it and putting it in the context of how does this help you as a salesperson, and also how can you as a salesperson help me and the marketing to make this an even better campaign overall. So constantly iterating so they understand how marketing spends their day to day. And now the third one, and this might sound funny, but it's bow down to the requests. So sales, of course, always comes like, I think we should do this. I have this idea. Can you do it like this? And as a marketer, you may not feel that it's the best use of your time, or it's out of scope of your responsibilities. But sometimes it's just worth it to show that you're there for them, that you're a team player, and it helps with that relationship. So those would be my 3 tips.
Konrad, you like I would love to have you as a marketer. Oh my God, these are like you could feel that like the AE, the salesperson is speaking in you now. Completely love it. Thank you. A lot of the things that Marcus is also doing with us. So cool, man.
Yeah, I can tell. I get that vibe from Marcus.
Brilliant. Now, last one for the quick fire.
Sure. So what's in my tech stack and what tools help me most in my day-to-day? I'd say it's all the typical stuff, you know, Sales Navigator, CRM system, Salesforce, HubSpot, marketing tech solutions like Marketo. I'd say something that's really missing, and especially as we're becoming even more digital today, and the buyer, and as sales and marketers, we have less influence on the buyer's journey. Less of the buying activity is done offline within their meeting rooms and internally, or on searching over the web. So what I would like to see more of is like this buying intent data. So where are people searching offline? What publishers are they looking at? What are they reading? And also, if they're on my website, who's on my website? How long are they spending there? And knowing like who actually has this intent, that'll help me to prioritize my day to day. And if I see company XYZ is searching a term that is relevant to my company, I'll spend a few hours trying to find out who that is and engage the company, because there could be a deal there.
My man.
I thought I would add that last bit for you, especially.
That's kind of you. I thought you would go Workpath. Like, put a plug for Workpath, man.
No, it's okay.
This video is not sponsored, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I mean, they're all genuine answers, but it's really
I'm joking around.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you so much. How does that felt, or how was it to read out the questions and?
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
you did great, Konrad. Thumbs up for you.
Great. You did great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's maybe go into a bit like getting into the truth, so to say. I think like why you are a fantastic guest to have is that you really have seen and worked in both sides. And I think that's pretty rare, and I'm super interested, because you are one of the few people that I know that have seen both marketing and sales. So what do you think are like the benefits that you have seen both sides, and what have you learned, so to say, from that?
Also, I actually want to ask one more thing here, like on this topic, Buggy. Yeah, you're doing from one side of marketing sales, but also like the opposite, right? How do you think like about both transitions?
Well, I'd say the first one was salespeople are short-term relative to marketers, where marketers think more long-term, right? Because the activities and campaigns that marketing run today don't have impact immediately, and it takes more time, it takes months, depending on which area of marketing we're talking about. But salespeople think month to month or quarter to quarter, and so they want results now. And so that's where I see a lot of the conflict between marketing and sales. Is marketing can say, yeah, we'll have results for you next year or in 2 quarters. That doesn't help me meet my quota by end of this quarter. So that's one of the major differences I see between them. So coming from marketing, going to sales, I really have this perspective of how marketers think, but also going into sales, from developing such a marketing mindset, I think in personas, and I think about different types of personas in the buying committee, who they are, what their day-to-day looks like, what their challenges are, what their pains are, what they want to get out of their professional career. And that's made me a better salesperson. I wouldn't even say I'm a salesperson. I'm a marketer that understands the buying journey, and I understand how to influence it in the right ways. And then I also know how to develop relationships. So I would say that's one of the major benefits of moving from marketing sales, is understanding both sides of the marketing functions and of the customer. And the last thing would be, I like sales because it has a direct impact on company goals and performance. So you could see, I opened this deal and I closed it, and it had, you can quantify using the monetary value of how much you've added to the company performance. Yeah, and the last thing is money. There's more money in sales.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of talk about like that. The SDRs, so the AEs, they actually just like elongated inbound channels, right? And sort of create their own landing pages with the content they create. So they are actually the best marketers right now, because they speak the language of the customer and are they're sort of micro marketers in their field. I think that's something that maybe you have like touched upon. Really
I
interesting.
think everyone, regardless of who you are or what your job is, everyone is a marketer. I mean, you had to sell yourself to get to where you are today. So you have developed a marketing skill set. It's just how often do you practice it? So salespeople are just as much marketers, but not vice versa. So the best salespeople will be great marketers, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that's a really interesting take. Love that. It's I agree. Like I think you have to sell yourself to sell as human. I think it's one of both of our favorite books, Konrad. And so it's like natural. I love it. Like it's just the time perspective that you're addressing, right? It's like short term and long term, and how you sort of not making this a clash, but like aligning that. I think that's a brilliant take. Cool. So I know, Konrad, you're super competitive, like you're a top performer, you try to constantly improve, you read all the books. So what are the ways that you try to stay competitive and like top of the game for other people out there?
Yeah, I would say I'm always exploring new tools and tactics to help me engage the market or increase my productivity in some way. So I actually sign up for blogs and newsletters and such to get all those cold emails from SDRs and salespeople, because first I want to know what's available out there so I can potentially test it and see if this could help me engage the market. The second part of that is I get to read how other people are cold calling and cold emailing. I get to steal their tactics in the end. I mean, 9 out of 10 times you're not, it's just another automated email. But you do get the, 1 out of 10, you're going to meet someone that really teaches you something, a new way to engage or appeal to you. So always trying new tools and tactics overall. I read a book by Jeb Blunt called Virtual Selling, and I found it really interesting how he compared Vidyard to Microsoft PowerPoint in the 1990s. So when PowerPoint was launched in the early 90s, it wasn't a sales tool. It wasn't adopted, and that was one of the first tools he used to help articulate the value to his clients, and he attributes that to his sales success, which was apparently quite immense. So finding the PowerPoints of the early 90s, which may be Vidyard or something else that we just don't know about, and using that to engage our market and sell more. The other thing would be talking to other salespeople. So like kind of what we're doing now, but most of my friends are all sales or marketeers. I'm constantly sending voice messages. This is how I was cold calling someone today. This is what I think worked, and vice versa. So always, sharing learnings overall. And the last one, which is probably my favorite, is reflection. So I do a lot of, I say about 6 hours of reflection a week. You could call that like meditation in a way. And it takes different forms. So I do a lot of like running and biking. And during that time, I never leave the house without a straw to chew on. So, and that straw is a metaphor for, a failure I had that day, or a success, or a situation that I just want to analyze. And the goal of that is to understand how I can always be marginally better in the next time. And the problem behind that is because, as a salesperson, I share the same target list as so many people out there, just like you on this call and other people listening. We have the same top 500. We're all emailing and cold calling them, but I just need to be marginally better than everyone else in order to cut through the noise and get their attention to engage with them.
I love that. I think the last one was really like,
I think that we turned something great from that. I was actually good, good metaphor, and also like in a good way of saying something that actually means, I mean, I get your point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never heard it before. So even that means it's unique. Unique is great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, it's like, it's true. Like when you go running or on bicycling, like your thoughts aren't, you're not thinking right? So you always
Yeah.
have something, and I love that. I think maybe you've read Deep Work or something, the book, where he also goes like with one thought problem for 20 minutes and then solves it. Read it the other month. It's really good. Yeah, man.
I mean, I'd recommend that for, you know, anyone, like in any situation. Just always, you need to reflect, to think. I mean, it's good for your mental health and your performance.
Yeah, and you are the example of that, Konrad. Thank you so much. What are the things that keep you up at night when you're not reflecting? Or maybe you are.
If there are any hours left, right?
There are not many hours left, but I'd say the one thing that keeps me up at night is pipeline. There's nothing else. It's always, how can I keep this goal, this opportunity moving? How can I add this prospect to an opportunity phase? And yeah, that's what really keeps me up at night, is always, how can I be marginally better and improve my pipeline? There's never enough pipeline.
I love it. I love it. Straight to the point. Like, yeah, same. Like, agree. And also something marketers and salespeople, revenue teams share, right? It's like revenue, like pipeline. Like how fast can we close deals? How many of those can we actually close?
Yeah.
So brilliant. You like to buy software from time to time, Konrad?
I do.
So there's a lot of talk on like, how should it be? Should a demo be free? Should a demo like not be free? How far should an AE maybe go into discovery? What should he do? So if you could improve the way you buy software right now or are getting sold to, what and how would you change?
Yeah, whether demo is free or not, I would say don't offer a demo until they ask for it. I think that, and that's what I practice as well, is I want that to be one of the last steps. I want to spend as much time that I have with you in our initial calls to understand your business, how everyone that I'm talking to is connected, what you all care about, so that I can create a schematic in the right way to offer my value. And one of the things that I just started doing is building like schematics of how this would work in practice. So if I sell you my software, or if I'm buying your software, I want to know how this fits in my day-to-day, who else has to be involved, and what are their responsibilities week by week. The problem is that our tech stacks are getting so crowded, or so stacked, that it's becoming more about, do I have the time to manage this new tool? Can I truly integrate it with anything else, rather than what value would it bring me day to day? So I think a better way to buy software is to understand how this fits in practice, who's responsible for what are the projected results. So of course, we're all talking about revenue marketing, or how can I help my sales team quarter by quarter? But yeah, again, the responsibilities and the effort required overall, because I've bought software before, very expensive software before, that wasn't touched for a year, and we never realized the value that was pitched to us. So that's one takeaway.
Yeah, makes sense. Like as a sales rep, you don't want to work in another tool, right? You want to work in the things you already have. Like learning a new thing is like, learning curve. I don't need a learning curve. I already have so many every day with the rejections we get. so yeah, thanks for that great input, Marcus. The last question, that's your favorite one, so go here, go and get it.
So be ready for this, okay?
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, as you said, like, sales marketing have a kind of different timelines. Sales works a lot month by month, quarter by quarter. In marketing, in many cases, a lot longer. So consider that most marketing projects take some time to get the result. How do you convince your stakeholders to like buy in on these kind of projects?
Yeah, my favorite method is the Minto pyramid principle, or it's also known as like top-down communication. So I'm very clear and concise on what's at hand. what we can expect from such a tool in what timeline. I'm not trying to oversell it internally. I'm trying to be realistic so that I can set expectations right. So using this principle, you start at the top with your argument or your hypothesis, and then you give you go one level lower to give 3 points to support it, and then you allow them to engage you and ask you questions, and then you focus on what they care about most and what's important. So then you become more productive in your conversation. So it's just all about being very clear and concise when selling internally, because you have many stakeholders. I have to sell this to my CMO, to the VP of sales, my SEO manager, my marketing operations manager, maybe the sales operations manager. They all see it very differently. So you start at the top and let them pick what's the most important to them, and then focus on that point.
How do you handle this when you're looking for new kind of project that haven't really run before, so you're not 100% certain about the outcome? You have some idea behind it, but it's something you probably should be able to do, but you haven't done it yourself before, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You have to be very frank with them. Like, this is what we project. We did the analysis. I've worked with their team. This is the optimistic side. This is what the realistic side of what we can do with this project. But it's not guaranteed, of course, just like nothing's guaranteed. So, but to make a bigger impact, we have to always try new things. And that's the point here is running things as normal will only achieve what's typical or what's normal or what's average. So the only way to break through and achieve higher than expected results is always try out new technologies, new tactics, new tools, and see how it goes.
Okay, thank you so much. And super last simple question, like what attribute on the market that would you think is most important when you're recruiting a new person? Like one single thing they think this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so when I interview marketing people, it's not about what technologies you know or how much experience you have, because a lot of that can be learned, especially if marketers are digital natives, it's a shorter learning curve. But what I look for is someone that has brainstorming skills or creativity skills, and that's not necessarily learned or as easily learned as others, because as I said in the beginning, the marketers need to be creative. They need to find new solutions, constantly find innovative ways to engage the market, because the marketing industry just changes so fast. Every 6 months, it's different. So I want people that are creative or really have the brainstorming skills to sit down and have an open conversation and build a dream space, and then just try something out and iterate from there.
What's the best way to seeing that in interview?
That's a good question. I mean, being very frank, asking questions. Are you? How do you brainstorm? What methods do you use to brainstorm? I mean, I have my own. I would ask for examples of that, but that would be the best way.
No, I got you. So much. So that was surprise questions here. But I mean, I agree with you. It's hard things. I do a lot myself in creativity, because you need to come up to solve new things. Mm-hmm. And as I say, the space is changing so often. So you need to be you don't need to be the coolest guy in the block, right? Coming up with a new thing, but you need to understand the market is shifting, right? B2C, we are way behind them. Come on, step up the game, go in that direction. This kind of creativity is a must if you want to be on the front line. And, I agree with you, trying to find the problem is finding those kind of things in the interview is hard, right? Because everyone can learn about the tech. Everyone can learn how to do these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I fully agree on you there. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy. I'll try to do something cool with this. I will transcript everything so I can actually read through it and then get some pictures and highlights and these kind of things. And then we should be able to rock something, right?
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks. I mean, for me, it was fun. Writing stuff down, learning everything.
Yeah, Konrad, applause from both of us.
Thank you.
You were the first one, and it like I loved it. Like honestly, I learned so much from you, and we only spent like a couple of minutes. Like the straw thing is like, man, that's so true. But you were able to, you know, that's the difference, right? Like having a gut feeling, but actually being able to explain it and make sense out of it. So,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this dude. So yeah, thank you so much, Konrad.